to Apothecary After Dark.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Apothecary After Dark, the official podcast of Amityville Apothecary, where you find out what real witches talk about when we lock the door and lower the shade. We are so excited to have a really great friend of the shop, James Devine, but they were with the tomfoolery over here, so I didn't even tell you who the hell I am and why I'm talking to you. I am co-owner of Amityville Apothecary, Dina Rosenberg, and I am here with my sister from another mister.
Hi guys, I'm Danielle, and this is our friend James Devine. We call him Jim, but until you get to know him, James, Mr. James.
Hey everybody.
So James is the founder of the Divine Hand system of palmistry. And he never,
He's kind of a big deal.
He is a huge big deal. But the thing is that you haven't told me when I'm going to die.
Well, you are definitely going to die.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't tell anyone when they're going to die because it's kind of your choice.
Oh God. Okay. So you know why I asked that question, right?
Why did you ask that question?
Because so many people have an idea in their head or a preconceived notion of what palmistry is and some of the scary bits. So why don't you take us through some of those misconceptions? You can
Okay.
take this one.
Okay. So a lot of the misconceptions of palmistry revolve around the fatalism. So the scary predictions that people have, right? When I have people recoil their hands when they find out I'm a palm reader, it's because they say, I don't want to know when I'm going to die, or I don't want to know. And we have this reputation of telling people you have misfortune, you have all these problems and all these faults in your hand, right?
Yeah.
So palmistry, when done well, is actually a source of inspiration, of empowerment. It helps you with your direction, clarity, your path is in your palms.
Agency, like when you gave me my reading, I was like, yes.
Yeah,
agency.
You feel powerful.
Yeah.
When you
absolutely.
gave me my reading, I had never had a palmistry reading before, and I sat down with Jim, and I was crying, and I was like, that's fascinating, because Dina's more of a closed book. I'm like this, what do you see? What do you see? And you knew things that, you didn't know about me, and I was blown away.
Your hand rats you out. Wait. Okay, but Dina.
Yeah, but wait.
Did you cry?
No, I don't do that. I did it yesterday, but it's so funny because what were you... So Jim was teaching how to read palms in 90 minutes at the Alchemy Academy yesterday. And what were you saying about whatever this line is, whether it's straight or curved? Fast friend Freddie over here.
Well,
where she meets people and everybody's a best friend instantaneously.
That's your headline.
Heart.
The heart line is the one, and mine is curved.
Yeah, and mine's a straight line.
Dina's is straight, and I wasn't even sitting with Dina. I guarantee Dina has a straight line because her heart line is more pragmatic, and mine is much more emotional. And I'm like, let's hug, and then we'll learn everything about each other, and we'll be best friends.
So it's so funny because the funny thing that Danielle and I are like the little old men in the Muppets, except
It's true.
But Danielle's nicer because she's always like, this is my friend James. Like when we first met you at the Hay House Conference in Phoenix, Arizona.
I met him at the coffee shop first.
Danielle met him and literally texted me because I don't know if you know this about me, I hate walking into rooms of people and I hate introducing myself and I hate getting to know people.
Fucking small talk.
Oh God, disgusting. I don't care. Hi, we can curse. Hi, how are you? Where'd you come from? Where'd you get in? Where are you staying? Literally, I'm just going to lay down on the road.
I went to Starbucks and I met him and some other friends and I texted her and I said, okay, so we have friends and I'm here with my friends and this is what they're wearing. So we'll see you in a few minutes.
Yeah. But she immediately was like, I made friends. I'm like, how are they? It's been 37 seconds. How are we having friends?
I didn't know that James was a palmistry expert, so he was reading me without my knowledge, but we became fast friends immediately.
I didn't actually read you before permission. I didn't read you until we were in.
I like
New
those
York,
ethics. That's
right?
good. Thank
Weren't
you.
we
No,
in-
that's true. We that was a reader's studio.
Reader's
we
studio.
schedule time.
Yeah.
But just from my mannerisms, you can tell a lot about people by their how they
yeah.
wave,
Yeah.
how
But-
they.
So here's the thing.
I'm a big hand talker.
Here's the thing with palmistry. Well, this is one of the things I love about it. There's a lot of woo-woo folks who are like, the spirits are always coming in and all that kind of thing. And I'm like, girl, you need to learn how to shield. But also,
Yes.
palmistry is interesting because your neurobiology links people by their facial expression and their general body language, not by the expression of their hands.
Yeah.
Okay? So you automatically are going to mimic someone's facial expression who you want to have affinity with.
Yes.
Right?
I
If
agree.
I tilt my head this way while I'm training or while I'm teaching in a class, like 60% of the people will tilt their head that way because they're looking for affinity with the person teaching the class, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you cannot turn that off. But what you never have on is your ability to look at someone's hands and distinguish what's happening. You actually have to do that on purpose.
Interesting.
So what's really handy about palmistry is you don't have the problem of always having to like turn off your gift because you have to actually turn it on for it to work.
I like that.
Does that
I
make
like
sense?
That point.
Yeah.
And I saw what you did there. What's handy about palmistry?
Yeah, what's handy?
I like that.
Like at the
Jim
academy.
is also one of the funniest people I know.
At the academy, I had my hand out.
You see what he did there?
But I like when I was getting a reading, and the more I learned from Jim about palmistry, I think it's fascinating because I've always been fascinated by astrology, which I believe is the blueprint of your soul written in the stars. The more you understand, you can find out your skills, your strengths, your challenges. But similarly, palmistry has so many indicators that once you understand,
Palmistry is the blueprint of your soul on your body.
it's amazing.
So astrology, in those words, in that analogy, astrology is the blueprint of the stars of you in the stars, and palmistry is a blueprint of you in your body.
That's so cool.
So if I geek out for a second, it's a form of what is known as somatomancy. Okay. So soma, you know soma because you know somatic. Oh, we're going to have a somatic experience, blah, blah, blah. And bras.
It's the name
Soma.
of a-
Soma bra. The
bras.
Soma.
You don't know that, but it's a bra company.
Why? Why am I on this podcast? I'm kidding.
Ridiculous. I'm sorry. We digress.
Okay.
Poor Jim. He has to put up with our nonsense all the time.
It's a menstrual cup? You don't know it?
What do you mean?
What do you mean you don't know it?
Sorry. All right. So Soma, let's get back.
Okay.
To
So like I was,
cool.
before I was so rudely interrupted. So it's a form of reading the body, somatomancy.
Oh.
And so if you read the lip print or the iris or anything, that's the same. You're using the body to understand someone's metaphysical identity.
That's cool.
So the body is the reflection of like your physical, like the earth, what's happened to you. And your astrology is the impact of the rest of the planets on you.
Yeah.
So together, palmistry and astrology help you have a much better perspective on your full metaphysical identity. You ever have an experience where your astrology doesn't quite explain you? When you bring those together, palmistry and astrology, it nails you every time.
But it's so interesting because when you and I first sat down, and you really didn't know like the intimate details of my life at all, it was still very nascent as a friendship. My right hand is my public life. My left hand is my private life.
Even if you're left-handed.
And you were looking at both and telling me things that you could not have possibly known. And I was blown away because it was spot on and really deep and insightful and informative. I was like, wow, this is really like fascinating. So I love your mission to educate people about it and to empower people about it. It's very cool.
Yeah, my mission is elevating palmistry out of the dark, dusty, cobwebby corners of the metaphysical world and bringing it into like the mainstream and into more light, right? Like astrology has gone through that transformation many, many years ago. Tarot is really going through that transformation now where people are less afraid of tarot decks or oracle decks. Yeah. But palmistry is still kind of stuck in that shadowy corner.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm really at a mission. So what does that mean? That means I love to teach my method of palmistry. I'm not afraid if someone, practices it or tries it or makes money by doing it because it's meant to transform palmistry.
Very cool.
I love that.
Very cool. So
That's great.
yeah, for all of our friends, if you want to have a reading with Jim, we can provide his contact information.
Another myth.
I highly recommend it. Yeah.
So there's another myth that you have to be in person to have an effective palm reading.
Good
and
point,
you don't, right? A lot of people are like, how can I do a palm reading if I'm not there? We use photographs.
Yeah.
And we meet on video chat like Zoom. And we are able to... you get a free recording with your reading, and I read for people all over the world. Yeah. And it's amazing that you can have that recording and listen to it later.
Right.
And the online readings through Zoom are live with me, and it's just like, yes, Zoom is annoying, but it's also like being there. Well, it's a lot cheaper than flying from London.
That's true. That's true. He gifted our staff leading up to the event and flying here to New York. He gifted our staff with readings so that they knew what the experience was and had the opportunity to get to know Jim and vice versa. And they were all blown away. They loved it. They were all sharing the insights that were gleaned. You said about Vinny, I think he'd be okay with us sharing. You suggested, you should be writing a book. He had just started writing.
Great.
It's unbelievable. They were blown away. It's so cool.
It is super fun.
It's super fun, but again, I think it's giving you information about yourself that likely you already know, but the way Jim frames it is that you're really giving people permission to step into your true self and to really look at maybe challenging aspects of yourself and welcome them so you can then become a more evolved and embodied version of you.
Yeah, talk about that.
Of who you already are.
Yeah.
So there is nothing inherently negative in your hands.
Right.
So people might, and that's true of your astrology. Like people might say, oh, my sun and my Chiron are conjunct, so all my wounds, right? That's actually my chart.
I have
right?
Saturn conjunct my moon in the 8th house, which is very challenging. But the more I understand it, the more I can do the work to overcome some of the challenges that are just energetically there.
Right. The more that you can embrace and reframe, I love that you said the way that I reframe it. The more that you reframe what's already there, what already exists, the more that you can use it as a tool. So the example I give is, okay, so you have this hammer in your toolbox. Are you going to use it to murder somebody, or are you going to use it to build a house, right? You really have a choice on how to use everything that's in your palm and everything that's in your chart. So that's what I say in my class yesterday or at the academy is, and I say this all the time in my courses, palmistry shows patterns, not predictions. And if you see a pattern, you can pretty much make a good prediction. But the pattern gives you agency to change how things are going and to be at choice in what you do.
Yeah, because this whole the fatalism of my chart is this or my palm says this, so I'm destined to be this is frankly a bullcrap story.
Yes.
It's a bullcrap story.
Right. Go ahead. Go for it.
Totally. There's no reason to be fatalistic about it when you can reframe what's there.
Yeah, I love when people are like, oh, divination. So tell me the lottery numbers. I just want to say, get out. Just get out.
The first lottery number is 1.
The magician, exactly. That's not what this is about. All of these divination tools, the more you know, the more educated you are, the more insights you glean, the better you can make decisions upon.
Right.
Because you always have free will to decision upon anything. You could be given such warning in a reading and say, this is not auspicious. If you continue down this path, this is the likely outcome. Well, you can continue to go off of that cliff, or you could say, it's time to make some changes in my life. This has caused me to reflect that maybe I shouldn't go hog and debauchery in bed, harmful things. Maybe I should make better choices. Yet you always have free will and agency to do that. So, it just empowers us to become the best version of ourselves should we choose to.
I think yes, totally. And I think the other thing is, like I pulled the lottery number, right? Which was 1. That's true. Right now, at this moment, that lottery number is 1. But 3 seconds from now, it changes.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're given the reading, the divination, the way divination works is, given the energies that surround you at this very moment, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm sensing. But if you change your energy or change your vibe or start to do something different tomorrow, right? Then the reading is going to shift, and it's going to have slight shifts, like the butterfly effect, for what happens going forward. So that's one of the misconceptions of divination in general is the best divination gives you a sense of the pattern because that's more of a long-lasting thing and gives you agency and sovereignty to then shift and change that pattern as you go forward. Cool. So I think that that's why I'm not into the fatalism.
Well, I think also I always say this, maybe I've never always said this on the podcast, but I always say this to other people, is that we're the common denominators of our own life's experience. So
thank you.
The situation is when you need to know about those things that you're doing in your life that are causing those repetitive loops to give you the consistent outcomes, especially of those things that you do not prefer. Right. So if you have something going on in your life and the outcome it is not preferred to you, you being the common denominator of your own experience, then have the agency to say, okay, other actions need to happen to get to an outcome that I do prefer.
Right.
And I use prefer and not prefer because nothing is inherently bad. Right. We just have choices of what we prefer more and prefer less.
Well, and I also think there's something to be said for, is it aligned or misaligned with with your will?
Yeah.
Right? Very few people understand the concept of your true will, which is like, what is your purpose? Why are you here? What's the big reason you exist? We don't have a society that supports us doing the deep navel staring to actually come up with, wow, this is really what I would love to do in life. This is really my true purpose here on earth, right? So because of that, we don't have we live in a world where there's not a lot of alignment and there's a lot of opportunity for people to end up just being sheep in the system.
Yeah.
And when there's someone who pops up who's not a sheep, who's a maverick or who is, independent or really bold, people are going to flock to that because that's the thing that's sort of missing in a society that makes it a little bit unbalanced.
Yeah. So for the folks on the podcast, what are some key things you want to show on my hand or on Dina's hand? Some key
or like something juicy. I feel like a
little fun fact about the hand.
I want
a little demo.
The tea, like not like the.
Let's dish it.
Tea.
Who am I doing first?
Go with Dina.
Give me the tea.
I'm not going to give you the tea. I'm going to tell all the podcast people your secrets.
Go ahead. Go.
Okay, here's the fucked up thing about Dina. No, I'm just kidding. So Dina's right. Do you ever notice that Dina is kind of like, she's not quiet, right? She is, did you flip me off?
No, I did not.
Oh, I'm sure. The producers are nodding because they saw her do it. Look at how her pinky finger is out on the right hand. The right hand is her in the world, in the public, right? And it's extended more than her left hand. And so it's obvious. You don't need to know her to see, yes, she's expressing herself, her communication, her Mercury finger in the world. So when I'm in the shop, what's the one voice I can hear all the way upstairs in the reader room? You guys, what's happening? Blah, blah, blah. Right? Something. It's awesome. And I'm like, there's Dina yelling at the dogs to shut the hell up or telling someone, don't let the dog out or whatever. It's awesome, right? I cannot hear Danielle upstairs, but I can hear Dina. And look at it shows in her Mercury. So that's an example of like your hands rat you out. Do you need to see the hands for some of the obvious things that people are doing? You don't, because you already picked that up from the rest of their body language. So a secret thing, about Dina is she actually uses both her brain and her heart in order to drive success, both in her personal life and in her work, in her business. Because her success line connects those two together. When she has the best success, it's a balance between head and heart.
I love that.
I love it.
What do you think?
Absolutely. I have to tell you what's really funny is that I have been told throughout my life that I'm too loud.
Oh, I don't think you're too loud.
All the time. But now I do my own thing, tough tits.
I love that about you, actually.
Yeah. It's a good thing that people who think you're too loud need to F right off.
Whatever. Don't care anymore.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, no.
It's a beautiful thing about you. And the Mercury is like, I can rely on, well, it's true of Danielle in a different way too, but I can rely on them to tell me exactly what's up. Like, if there's something, if I have crap in my teeth, if I've got whatever, someone told me I had something in my teeth. And this one, Dina was like, "Oh, I love that you told him. He's
a real one.
You were a real friend."
I always tell. Always.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool thing. All right. So did you appreciate me reading, giving you the read like that?
Yeah.
Okay. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm excited. I love it. All right.
What is a little secret about Danielle through palmistry? Palmistry gets revealed. So there's a little bit of a curve on the right hand in the index finger. Your index finger is your leader. It tells you where you're going. It's your director, all that. This is indicative of someone who is cooperative and collaborative when it comes to leadership. This is often a peacemaker type person, which totally happened today. There was an incident in the store that shall remain unnamed. And this one came in and was like, "It's okay. Let's calm the fuck down." Right? That was a really cool, like, collaborative. I was all ablazing, Aries, and this one was like, "Rah!" And so the issue was there, and this one came in and was like, so Danielle came in and she was like, "It's fine. Let's figure this out."
Yeah.
So that's really cool. With her leadership is more of a servant leader, more of a collaborative leader, more of a, well, can we take the back way? Can we work around it? Whereas I think I am more with Dina with like, just bulldoze it. You're so good that way.
It stopped me in my tracks. You know, you guys know how protective I am of Dina and the shop and my people. So it just needed to be resolved.
It was great.
Yeah.
But we kind of know that about her personality. So what's a little secret thing about her? The secret thing about her is, yes, she has this effusive, emotional heartline, but she actually has a wonderful way of seeing your best and highest abilities. That is a gift / curse. If you're attached to someone's like best expression of themselves, it'll break your heart. But if you ever want to know, if you ever come into the shop and you get to know these folks, or if you know somebody, you're really good at being able to say, "I really see this in you," beyond where you see yourself. And there's nothing more inspiring than someone who can see your highest and greatest in you. So that's one of her superpowers. Is that true of her?
Yeah, it is. She sees the best, like somebody's good, like where they can go or what their purpose is, but also she's an amazing connector of people. Like you and you, I'm going to connect. You and you, I'm going to connect. I met this person, you have to meet. Like, it's the most amazing thing. I literally cannot be bothered to do that with people.
But it's so interesting because what Jim just did there is he articulated something that's inherent about myself that I've always known but have never been able to verbalize. But I know that it's a skill that is a gift that I possess because it's something that I just inherently do. And I just assume everybody does that. But
you know why it's hard to articulate it? Because it's a character of water. It's a character of emotion and empathic abilities. And our society hates water.
It's true, we do.
It's not safe to express those emotions in that way.
Yeah.
So that's really like one of the reasons why it's hard to articulate it, because you don't have examples in our society of how to articulate your watery traits.
That's cool.
But it's true.
It's so interesting, guys, because astrologically, my chart is predominantly air and fire.
Yeah.
And I lack water. But the fact that you are seeing the water in my hand is exactly a complement of those two practices together.
And why is it that your chart doesn't always explain everything about you, right?
Perfect.
It's beautiful.
So where
Thank
can
you.
people find you, get a reading with you?
Yeah.
Where are you?
Well, I'm on the internet giving hand jobs, so that's really where I'm at.
Up here, you can
I'll
give the
never,
handle. You
I
can
will,
give the handle.
I will never stop making that joke. So if you find that inappropriate, you probably won't like your reading. But if you found that funny, I can be found by Googling James Devine on the Googles. You can look up that Seattle Palm Reader, just Seattle Palm Reader or Seattle Palm Reading. I'm number 1 on Google. Or you can go directly to my website, which is thedivinehand.com.
Beautiful.
And it's not only just services, you also have certification classes and courses. So I'm going to be taking your Learning to Read Palmistry course, which is more in-depth, and then I will get a certificate once I complete everything. And then I will give hand jobs.
Oh, God.
Figuratively. Hey, now it's...
I can make that joke because I'm a guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, it
I better
doesn't just
watch
hit
myself.
the
So
same
I'm
way.
going to do palmistry readings, and I will do some free ones as I practice.
Palm jobs.
And hone my skills.
That's right. So I love teaching, and so I have an online course, and it's awesome. And you'll get a certificate from the Intro to Palmistry course, and that's enough for you to start reading palms, especially if you're experienced as a reader.
It's amazing.
Excited. Thank you so much.
We always close out the episode with a collective reading, a little look ahead for the next 2 weeks until we meet again. So while we're shuffling, you're going to get 3 cards today instead of 2. If you can find us on all the social medias at AmityvilleApothecary.com. Our website is shop.AmityvilleApothecary.com. We want to hear from you. What did you think about this episode? Please make sure you're following. Please make sure you're sharing with your friends because sharing is caring. Everybody deserves to know all this great stuff. Okay. I was yapping.
You were, but you did a good recap. I appreciate that.
A fungal. That's fine.
Interesting.
What do we got?
Justice. I love justice. I'm a Libra, so it's all about the scales.
The Chariot.
And
The 8 of Cups.
what? Let's start with why you're feeling so dread with the 8 of Cups, and then
I don't know. I like you know what it is? I just, for the 8 of Cups for me, it's like I'm feeling like it's so funny. Maybe it's this in combination with a reading that I was listening to earlier today, where it was like an invitation to that there are things that you need to walk away from. So I was like, this is the second time today that I've heard this message, and it's true. Like, we know when it's time to leave those things that are no longer serving us in the past. And I love the energy of the Chariot because we're going to go towards what we should be in the future, what's more aligned.
And the Chariot is spiritual travel, spiritual transformation, spiritual growth. So if you're walking away from all these cups that are stacked up because it's all too complicated, it's the Chariot that's going to help you make it through the mountains, if you see in the picture, and get through it, especially from a metaphysical, spiritual perspective.
yeah. And I was curious why you felt such dread, because I think that's a good thing, because the art of this Chrysan card. The sword separates and holds the scales, but she's seeing an altar reflection. So you have to cut those aspects that are not in alignment so that you could be aligned with your highest and greatest good.
Yeah.
So you walk away from those cups that are not serving you and use the sword to slice that away. You move forward
Slice and dice.
with the Chariot, and then you can be more in alignment with your highest and greatest good. So I think that's a beautiful.
No, it's a great message. It was like, okay, like,
It just hit you hard.
when you hear the same thing twice in one day, it's like, I'm paying attention, universe.
That's
it's
the
like,
message.
give me a signier sign. We've all done that. Like, no, not that sign, another sign. Like, so, okay, got
What
it.
about what do you say to people when this reading is really resonating for them? Like, they listen on the podcast and they were like, oh my God, that's totally the reading for me. What are they supposed to do with that?
Well, you
Leave
can
a comment, or are they supposed to?
Yeah, so you can leave a comment, absolutely. You can share this podcast with all of your friends and say, oh my God, my mind is so blown. You have to experience this and watch it and book a reading with all of us. It's also something to reflect upon, and how is this working in your life? What are those aspects that you need to cut from, that you know are bad influences? Do you have that negative friend that's just like a barnacle? It brings you down and sucks the life out of you. Like, they are not in alignment with you. Let it go.
Yeah.
Walk away and move on, and like align yourself with like-minded people that are going to lift you up. And I think really like consider it in your life. This is a great time for that kind of work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for spending this time with us. We really love having you and having James, and make sure you
Thank you.
go and get a reading from him, because you're like, it's amazing.
It's really eye-opening and transformative and fun. And we have fun in all that we do, and we have beautiful friendships. So come and see us and let us know what more you want to hear about. And we appreciate you, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to us today. We look forward to connecting with you again soon, so be sure to come back for the next episode.
And make sure to follow us on social media. It's the fastest way you can get in touch with us, at Amityville Apothecary, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And of course, subscribe to this podcast. We are eternally grateful for your support.